Gaming stocks could get a boost here. House Financial Services Committee Chairman Barney Frank, as we said, is introducing a bill to lift a ban imposed on online gambling by the last Congress. CNBC's Mary Thompson is here with more on that story for us. Very interesting.
It is interesting, Bill, and of course it's not a sure bet that Congress will support Frank's Internet Gambling Regulation and Enforcement Act of 2007. But banning the ban on Internet gambling could raise billions in tax revenue that Democrats could use for favored initiatives. And taking a page from the traditionally Republican book, the Democrat says it would eliminate an intrusion on individual liberty.
There are a lot of our fellow citizens who like to gamble on the Internet. They harm no one. They are engaged in an activity that they enjoy.
It's estimated U.S. gamblers make up almost 50% of the estimated $6 billion online gaming market. Legislation passed last year prohibited banks from handling payments for online gaming sites, but gamblers can still access offshore sites. FBR's Andrew Parmentier estimates rolling back this ban could generate tax revenue in excess of $20 billion over the next 5 years, though analysts maintain it's a wager Congress won't want to make.
Most politicians are loath to support any expansion of gambling. There is this image that, particularly in the Internet, that it's difficult to regulate and that it would actually promote the growth of gambling, which most politicians really don't want to have their names associated with.
If passed, regulation would require companies be given license only if they had safeguards in place to ensure the bettor is at least 18 years old, others to combat fraud and money laundering, and still others ensuring the bettor is in a place where online betting is allowed. Perhaps most importantly, it would also require mechanisms to collect taxes from both licensees and gamblers. Now, the Treasury would grant the licenses and monitor the industry, while states and Indian tribes could opt to limit or prohibit online gaming in their regions. Lastly, sports leagues and associations could ban online betting on their events. Curtis says in the slim chance the bill passes, Harrah's and MGM Mirage could benefit if the ban is lifted. Others, like Cryptologics and Optimal Group, provide services used by the online gaming industry, and they too could benefit. Frank plans to hold hearings on the bill in June. And as a housekeeping note, J.P. Morgan has done banking business for MGM and Harrah's and owns more than 1% of Harrah's stock. It will be interesting to see what kind of response he gets in Congress.
Well, let's talk about it right now, shall we? Thank you very much, Mary. If government does back off of the ban on Internet gaming, what would be the cost to financial institutions, the economy, and society? Joining us with their thoughts, Michael Bolcerek, who's president of the Poker Players Alliance, Poker Player Alliance, and Reed Cathrine is partner and class action litigator at Huggins, Berman, Sobel, and Shapiro. And I thank you both for joining us today.
Thank you.
Reed, good idea, bad idea to lift the ban on online gaming in this country?
Oh, it's a terrible, terrible idea. The social economic cost is great. I'll run down those for you in a minute. But I've had example after example of individuals come to me as a result of our lawsuit against sponsored advertising on the Internet, come to me with stories of them going into their bedrooms, retirees going to their bedrooms telling their spouse that they're shopping or that they're writing a book, and withering away through gambling their retirement. And then they have to go out and live in mobile homes.
Yeah, but they can do that by going to casinos as well, where it is legal.
Well, that is not true. There are great barriers to going to a casino. You have to walk for one. You don't just walk into your bedroom and pull out a credit card. There's screening at casinos. Casinos, for a large part, are regulating and watching for pathological gamblers and problem gamblers.
Michael, is that a reason to keep the ban on them, because it is too convenient for those people who shouldn't be doing it?
Well, I don't know what casinos that he's going in where people are actually watching to make sure you don't lose too much money. Look, this puts in safeguards to ensure that kids aren't on the Internet, that problem gamblers, that their issues are addressed. This is sensible legislation that moves the needle in the right direction.
So you think it should not be lifted as well?
Well, what this does is establishes licensing and regulation that allows and protects the general system.
The new legislation would do that. I got you now.
Yeah.
I was having a moment there. I'm thinking, wait a minute, the guy with the Poker Players Alliance doesn't want to lift the ban on that?
Well, the old legislation just drives everything underground to unscrupulous operators. This lifts it up above ground and provides protections and safeguards for general public and for poker players.
And you know, Reed, that when we were discussing this ban last year before it was passed by the Congress, there were a lot of people who kept pointing out that it was highly selective in this ban. Why pick on online? And you've already made one case in that regard, but if in theory you're just against the impact that gaming can have on the social fabric of our country, why just pick on the online gaming?
Well, the reason to pick on online gaming is, one, because it's not being controlled locally, and local communities and states are not given the ability to control and take care of the people who are harmed by this. For instance, if you put in a casino and a state allows a casino to go in, the state or that community is making a decision that, given the benefits that they're going to get from that, the tax dollars, they're willing to pump those tax dollars and benefits back into the community to take care of the problems that are resulting from the gambling. If you go online, you don't have that. That money's going offshore. There's no taxes, and the local community doesn't have control over how that money is going to be spent, or whether or not they want to balance the benefits versus the harm that is caused. There's no doubt the study of the National Gaming Commission Impact Group back in 1999, before Internet gambling was really big, looked at the harm, and there's suicides that are associated with it. There's health problems. There's employment problems. There's problems with bankruptcies.
But let's face it, Michael, how likely is any Congress to, even as badly as they want the revenue that could come from lifting this ban, do they want to be known as the Congress that lifted the ban on online gaming, which has been demonized to this point?
Well, I think it has very, I think it creates a safe place for people to play. It's common sense. The genie's out of the bottle already. It's not going to spend that much more. Let's just deal with the Internet gaming, make it safe, keep the money onshore, okay, allow U.S. companies to compete with offshore companies. That's good public policy. Why wouldn't Congress look at that as a good alternative?
All right. Well, we'll see what happens as it makes its way through Congress. Thank you both for joining us today. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.